Hi guys, Samantha here from Thread Collective. I'm about to have my first ever go on a Zoom loom, let alone any pin loom. I thought I would record this because if I get stuck somewhere, it's probably where you might also get stuck. The instructions do seem quite clear, so we'll follow them and see how we go. I'm just using some leftover Harrisville Shetland that I had from a weaving project, so they're still on the perns and I'm just going to wind off that. You will need, I believe it's about 8.5 yards of yarn if you are trying to find some. You need to make sure that corner number 1 is at the lower left. We want to place our yarn in the slot, leaving a 5 to 6 inch tail. So that handy little slot there to secure it. And then we're going to wind the first thread up. Yeah. And around those first 2 pegs. As the picture shows. And then we're going to turn the page. So we're bringing it back down to the bottom and we're going around the second 2 pins in this first group at corner 1. Back up, and we're just going to repeat that with each sort of thread. So we're going around the last 2 pins in each group. Until we've warped across the whole way. So the last 2 pins, that's at the top and the bottom, making sure we keep even tension but not making our yarn too tight at all. Just using my finger to anchor the yarn, finding that helps keep it in there a bit better until I've got some tension on. From the pen. So these are absolutely wonderful ways to use up any bits of scrap yarn because you need such a small amount really. Alright, so we're nearly at the end here, so I'm just going to refer to my instructions again. So coming up to corner 4, and it says it goes around the middle 2 pins in the group of 4. So we'll take it around the middle 2 there. Go, then down along the column of the pins to corner 2. And we're going between these 2 pins here, there, and then I believe we need to turn this a little. Yes, I'm going to do, as it suggests, as you become more familiar, I'm going to do the quarter turn to the right. You can keep it in the same position if you prefer for this layer, but I think I'll just find it a bit easier to read my weaving. This corner now, taking it, I just need to double check, taking it back up there, taking it around both pins. And then we're heading back over to what was corner 1, and you can see that written on there on your own loom. And we're going around the first 2 pins in the group now. I believe so, just double checking. Sorry, I'm doing the quarter turn thing and going up and around the second 2 pins in the group. You can see this becoming really quite meditative as you get the hang of things. Maybe don't use it straight off a pern either. That's maybe a little ball would be a bit easier to manage the yarn flow from. Again, making sure as I go, very gentle tension. I don't want any saggy yarn, but I don't want to stretch my yarn either, and I don't want to make it impossible to get this off my loom after I'm finished. Okay, nearly finished this layer. Right, so once we're done there, oops, back up to corner 3, come in between those 2 pins. And I'm starting one again. Okay, so turning our corner, going through those pins there, and then the first group we're going to go around the middle 2 pins there, back down. Now we're going to do the pins So you can see in the group of 3, one pin hasn't been encircled by the yarn, so we're going to do those 2 pins on that side, so that pin on the outside that hasn't been encircled plus the one in the middle. Just pulling some more yarn free. Just that pin there. Alright, and then we're back at this little group of 4 here. And just to go up to corner 2. And then that's the 3rd layer complete. So the next thing we need to do is measure the yarn we need to weave by wrapping it 5 times around the outside of the pins and cut the yarn. I am going to just tie a little knot. So normally what you do is weave it all in the same color, I believe. So, but I want you guys to be able to see the path my yarn is taking. So I'm just gonna secure this on here. And I'm going to wrap my bluey coloured yarn. Just ignore that knot, that will show up in my square after, but that's okay. Alright, re-wrap that one around. I'm just going to wrap it around 5 times because that will give me the measurement I need for the weft. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And then cut your tail. Unwind this yarn that we just measured out. We're gonna just thread our needle that the loom came with. There we go. Now, so start weaving corner 2, just down where we are now. And I want us to go between this first pin here. So you always place the needle over an edge loop. So that's our edge loop. Then go under, over, under, all the way across the loom, just like in a very typical plain weave fashion. Really hope I'm catching all of these. It's a tricky angle for me to actually see it while I've got the camera overhead. You can see how if your layers were too tight, you wouldn't actually be very able to do this. Getting the needle through so easily. I'm going to have to help that little knot along or leave it a bit scraggly on the end there. There are ways, of course, you can splice your yarn if you decide to do some multicoloured squares with different coloured wefts. Okay, so that's our first one done. Now we start on our next loop here. So we're going to go over, under, and over the edge loop. Just like in a plain weave, just over, under, but because we have this needle that fits the length of this loom so well, you can do it so much faster than if you were doing a small square up on, say, a rigid header loom. Well, maybe not rigid header loom is fast. On like a little tapestry loom. Just got a little bit of a squished thread there from my notch, so just making sure I am going over the right bits. Alright, and we just continue in this fashion until we reach corner 3. Use our needle if you have any issues with where our threads are lying there. Hopefully, I've used those contrasting colours. Alright, so we're going to go over our edge loop and just continue. And this is where the tapered edges come in really handy. You'll notice I don't stop the needle at all. So go through this. She's just trying to line up her web threads a bit better there. There we go. Through. It's just that little bit of a tail there. Okay. So, over, under. It's easy to know where you need to start next because you're always starting with that little edge loop that you're going to go over. Nearly towards the end now. can see why it is so important not to have those threads too tight, because it would be very difficult in your hands to get this needle through these threads. You can see I've just accidentally looped over the pins, so I'm just a little bit of slack. Second last row now. As you can see, the edge is going to be a bit trickier because the space is a little bit cramped, but this loom makes it so easy with its tapered edge. I'm not hitting the beveled edge at all, and even if I did, I'm not worried about it. Just squeeze through these two threads here. Just found a mistake I made early on, and one of my warp threads, I didn't take it back around the right spot. It's too late now, but I can see which one it is, so I'm just going to make sure I work my pattern correctly. Okay, and then we have one more to do. So this little corner counts as a little loop up there, I believe. Corner 3, the needle goes over the corner loop and under and over, right next to the pins. It makes mention of if your yarn is wound too tightly, it will make this little row difficult to weave. So put my over here, going in between this pin. And then I've got my little section here where I made my little error, so just trying to make sure I get my over under in the right spot there. So one. See if I can separate these little guys a bit. There we go. And last up there, turning our page for the next instructions, and just weaving our yarn back in. Alright, so I've had a little oops and I've just snapped my tail, so I will not be showing you how to weave your ends back in, but you're essentially just weaving it back in the way you came, but go over 2 yarns at the start just to catch the tail so you're not essentially unweaving it. Yeah. Our first square. So this particular wool, this is off the weaving cone, so it's still got its spinning wheels in it. So if I then go and wash this, it will bloom quite a bit and fill in those spaces really nicely, especially if I do full it a little bit so it's just felting it slightly. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed watching my first attempt at pin loom weaving, and I hope it was helpful to see someone tackling it for the first time. And yeah, if you happen to get stuck in the same spots, hopefully this helps you muddle your way through them as well.